Blinking in the morning sun, blinking in the morning sun, shaking off the heavy one.
With you at my side, Ginger Rogers up and cried.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Hope everybody's doing well. I apologize, it has been about 3 weeks since my last video, and it's really just work stuff. It's been very busy. Did have a bit of a spring cold that kind of kept me from wanting to come on here and be annoying. So I just decided to wait till I felt great and had the time, and here I am. However, today is going to be focused entirely on CDs. So if you come here to see vinyl records, this probably isn't going to be your video, but hopefully you'll still watch because I think I'm going to show some pretty interesting things. And I haven't really bought anything from these Mobile Fidelity CDs, these gold CDs, in quite some time, probably well over a year now. I haven't purchased anything. And it's not because I wouldn't want more, but they're really difficult to find, and they're all secondhand, and you kind of have to get lucky to find some at reasonable prices and be constantly looking for them. And you know, luckily I've got a pretty good selection of things I really wanted, and that's what I'm going to show you today. Now, this is kind of part one of my Mobile Fidelity CD collection. I'm not going to show you any of the newer mini LP. Most of those are not in the gold variety, where these are all, apart from one, in the gold CD jewel case variety from the 90s. I'm not going to show you any of the mini LP, more modern day releases. Not that they're any better or worse, they're still fantastic, but they are doing them differently today. These all came out in the 90s at some point and are highly collectible, highly sought after, hard to find. And frankly, I only started my collection about 3 years ago. And if you really want to know more about these and you want information from an expert, the person who got me interested in finding these and listening to these, I had a couple, but I never really paid them too much attention because as you know, I'm really into my vinyl records. And I just thought, well, it's a CD, you know, who cares? But once you really start listening with better equipment and becoming a more serious collector and really understanding sound quality and how well these are made, there really simply has never been a format that probably sounds as good as these. And that's my honest opinion. The Japanese mini LPs and the blue spec CDs are a very close rival. Blu-ray audio is a very close rival. There's DVD audio. There's a lot of things that come close, but these really have a specialness to them. And I'm going to show you this one first. I've got a kind of spread out how I want to show it to you, but I want to show you kind of what you look for when you're collecting these. In a perfect situation, you would find something kind of like this. This is obviously the Velvet Underground, as everybody knows this record for the most part, infamous album. And what you really want to look for is, one, great condition. You want to look for the, you know, obviously the original master recording on the front. These are all Mobile Fidelity CDs, and this J card is pretty important too. Now, mine are a mixed bag. I would say probably 2/3 of mine don't have the J card because I'm being honest and upfront with you. I have not collected these for a long period of time, except for maybe a couple. And I really didn't even know what I was buying at that time. But when you buy them secondhand, almost always, unless you're really paying top dollar, you're going to not find them with this strip. I'm going to take this one out of the bags, but don't worry, I'm not going to take them all out of the bag. But I'm just going to show you a couple things you want to look for. And again, if you want the expert opinion, I guess I didn't even say his name the first time, Robert Zee, Bobby Z. He's had a multitude of different channels. I'll put his link to his most recent channel, which he does seem to be sticking to. He really is the Mobile Fidelity Sound Lab master. He knows a lot more information. He has a fantastic collection, not only of CDs, but of vinyl records. A lot of them are sealed. I think all of his CDs are open, but a lot of his Mobile Fidelity records are sealed. Anyway, Robert Zee is a great collector and a good friend, so I'll put a link to his channel down below. But when you're looking for these, if possible, it'd be great if you could find them with the little J card. Now, these a lot of times were just thrown away because there isn't much to it. It's just a piece of paper with a spine that tells you the title. And you can't just put a generic one on there because they all have individual titles. So it's like, well, I'll just go buy them in bulk and stick a bunch of Ultradisc 2 J cards on the strips. Well, it doesn't work. And really, to make them as collectible as possible, you would really want to try to find them with this J card. Secondly, you want to try to find them with the original case. That's important. Now, you can buy replacement cases for these from a company called, I think it's Music Direct, and they do sell them from time to time. They don't always get them, but I have purchased one bundle of 10 because I had a couple that needed to be replaced. But overall, generally speaking, people who have bought these have taken good care of them because they were expensive even when they came out. And at the end of the video, I'm going to actually unbox, if you will, something that's sealed. I thought that would be fun. So don't worry, I'm not going to spend that much time on all these. I'm going to go through them actually really quick. But I just kind of wanted to show you what the case looks like because they are unique. They have these lift-up lock cases where you don't even have to press down like you would on a CD. As you can see, the lift lock just kind of puts it up like that, and you just simply lift it off. And it's quite unique, and it's the only CD that I've ever seen like it. And then when you get ready to close it, it just pushes it down and it locks it in like it would any other CD. But that's important to the collectors. I've found that if it doesn't have the original lift lock case, that really devalues it. And of course, you want the inner book, the outer sleeve to be as pristine as possible. And this is a pretty good example of that, where it's really in mint condition. And of course, you need it to be original. They all need to be the Mobile Fidelity variety. Oftentimes on eBay and secondhand sites, you'll see just the CD or the CD without the case, and it just has the booklet. And those are the ones that you can probably pick up pretty cheap, and if you're only looking to sample it and hear what it sounds like, that might be okay. But these are really spectacularly done. These are all done with 24 karat gold plating. All, how can I describe this really? I guess they're mastered again at Mobile Fidelity Sound Lab from the original master tapes. Anything with the original master recording on here is coming from the original master tapes. That's the only time they use that original master recording logo. And I think all of these that I have in this variety have that. And again, apart from one, they all have this gold plating. And they claim that the gold plating makes it sound better. You top that off with the remastering. These really are pretty spectacular, I can't lie. So if you're comparing this to like an original CD from the Velvet Underground, believe me, you will notice a big difference. And I'm not one of those audiophile people that is extremely picky with their sound, but I'm picky enough where if something has poor quality, I can definitely notice it, and I can certainly notice it when things stand out as something special. And these definitely fall into that category. So what I'm going to do is, that's what you would look for in a perfect situation. I will say the majority of mine are in very, very good condition. I would say, VG plus to near mint across the board. But they don't all have J cards. So I guess maybe none of them really qualify for near mint. That's suspect, I guess. But I thought I'd just start with the ones I have the most of. I kind of started collecting these about 3-4 years ago when I was really, really trying to get as many as I could from Eric Clapton and his various groups. So starting with this, we've got the Blues Breakers, John Mayall and the Blues Breakers. This is just self-titled, I think, yeah. And this does not have the J card, as you can see. But it is really good condition, no scratches on any of these. I wouldn't buy anything unless I could be assured that it was going to be, at least VG plus. So I wish they all had J cards. I wish they were all mint, but it's just not the case. But I'm very happy with what I do have. So there's that album, fantastic album. We've got Blind Faith. This might be on the lower end of my collection. This one, I was going through these prior to the video thinking, man, this one might be one of the weaker ones. Although there's no scratches, no pits. The CD itself is fine, but the booklet maybe just a little bit of wear and tear. but these are all from the 90s, so they're going on, you know, getting close to 30 years old now. Let's see, am I going way out of order here? Probably. We got Cream Goodbye. I didn't really sort these very well, so forgive me. But all these really sound remarkable. Here's a really nice copy of Disraeli Gears. Very, very proud of that. That's one of the early ones I bought from, you know, to try to beef up my Eric Clapton collection. I just love it. I've always loved this album so much. And we've got just the self-titled Eric Clapton with a J card. That's very nice. Some of these are more expensive than others. This one really isn't that hard to find. You can find them on eBay and Discogs and stuff, and that one usually goes for $30 or so. In this condition with a J card, I would think you could probably pick that up. If you happen to love that album, that one might not be too bad for you. Others, though, you know, maybe a little bit more. A lot more in some cases. 461 Ocean Boulevard, no J card on that, but one of my very favorite Eric Clapton albums, so very, very fortunate to have that. And as you can see, since these came out in the 90s, these are all more of the classic rock variety of records, which is fine by me. We've got Slow Hand, very nice copy of Slow Hand with the J card. Maybe his most renowned, well-loved album, I suppose you could say. This one here, I struggled to get this one, believe it or not, and I don't know if it was just me and timing or what, but this one was a little harder to find for me, backless. And then finally, probably one of the greatest albums of all time, we've got Derek and the Dominoes here, Layla, which is by far, and now I do have this, they reissued this here recently, a year ago or so, on a new 45 RPM Mobile Fidelity LP record, vinyl. And that sounds really, really good too, but for flawless playback, you know, without any noise, any background surface noise or anything, which probably will never wear out, you know, this is about as good as it gets. Very happy to show you a couple doubles too. Now, Mobile Fidelity did a little something different with their double albums. A lot of them, if not all of them, came with this outer case, this outer shell, so that has this box. And inside, I'll show you this one here with Cream Live Volume 1 and 2. Again, if you can find them, the outer box is important, very, very important. And a lot of times with these doubles, you'll find them, but they're not going to come with this box. And if they do come with the box, they're not going to be in very nice condition, because these just typically have a lot of shelf wear. So we've got here Live Cream, and then we've got Live Cream Volume 2. And this one came with a beautiful booklet. In between those two records sits this booklet. And as you can see, this copy here is just an absolute mint condition. It really hasn't even been touched. I mean, I'm touching it now, but you know, it's still stiff when you open the booklet, so I'm being very careful with these. And I'm just going to set this to the side so I can pack it away carefully later. I'm really careful with these CDs because I don't like to scratch them. You know, the cases, they're jewel cases, so I don't like to scratch them up too much. This one here, I don't think it's a Mobile Fidelity release. I think it's a DCC release. This is Wheels of Fire, but this is also in the gold CD variety. So I put it with it because I keep it together with the others. And you know, this is a double album, and it's done exactly the same way with the same lift lock cases, and it's just really stunning. So maybe it doesn't have quite the shininess as if it was brand new, but still in very nice condition. So very, very happy with that. This one was really hard to find. This is Derek and the Dominoes live in concert. This is very expensive on vinyl too. I found out to get this on Mobile Fidelity on vinyl, you're probably going to be paying about $200 for it in really good condition. But I have an absolute mint condition, really still super glossy, super nice, almost brand new on CD with the box. So that's pretty special. And then I've got this one here. It's not as mint, but this one's just fine. This is Just One Night. And as you can see, it's maybe not quite as glossy, not quite as mint. Got one or two little tiny corner dings, a little bit of shelf wear. But again, you know, this probably came out in early 90s, so what can you expect? You can't expect them all to be perfect. And had I jumped on them when they first came out, most of these, I'm sure, would be having more wear than this because I've moved so many times. Okay, so that's the artist I have the very most of is Eric Clapton. Second most artist I have, and I'm going to have to go through these pretty quick. is the Moody Blues. This is one of the artists I really wanted in this series because I'm a huge fan of the Moody Blues, and I'm a huge fan of their early albums, and frankly their early vinyl doesn't sound that great. Where these, you put it on and it's a whole new experience, especially these early albums. I mean, it's just so phenomenal. We've got Days of Future Past, you know, one of the most iconic albums of all time, with the J card, which is really fantastic. I wish all my Moody Blues had J cards, but there's a few missing. Then we've got In Search of a Lost Chord. So nice. Really, really, really so nice. We've got The Threshold of a Dream. As you can see, that one's missing. But I don't beat myself up too hard for them. And I wouldn't buy another one if I found one with a J card, unless it was, you know, just stumbled upon it, you know, so cheap that you just couldn't say no. And then we've got To Our Children's Children. I'm just very fortunate. I always feel fortunate to have any of these, frankly, and especially coming into them so late. I think I have a pretty nice collection. Every Good Boy Deserves Favor. Sorry for the glare, but I just don't want to take them all out of their bags. We'd be here a long, long time. And as it is, this video will probably go 30 minutes. So, Question of Balance. Really nice there. Sorry if I'm not showing both sides. This one's particularly hard to find, and I don't know why. Maybe it's one of their lesser albums that didn't sell as well. Maybe there's less copies of it. I don't know for sure, but Seventh Sojourn was very difficult to find. This was the last one I picked up. And the reason being last is because it was so expensive, and I think I paid about $75 for that. And you might think that's insane. Why would you pay $75 for a CD unless you own these and you're a collector of these? Don't comment. You're insane to pay that kind of price for a CD because you don't know what you're talking about. And I don't mean to be blunt, but if you haven't heard that and you're going to pay $50 for a new LP that's remastered and got every bell and whistle on it, extra $25 for that CD, believe me, it's worth it. And this is one of the first ones I bought. This is one I wanted so bad. You know, as I've said many times, Long Distance Voyager is one of my favorite albums of the 80s, if not my favorite album of the 80s, even though it came out in the very, very early stages of 1980. I just love it. And as much as I love the early Moody Blues from the 60s and 70s, that album is special to me because it was my first Moody Blues album I'd ever heard, and I don't know, it's just great. I mean, I just love it. So that's the artist I have the second most of, the Moody Blues. I showed you Eric Clapton. Now I'm going to show you stuff. I have 3 copies of what they have out there. You know, obviously I'm still collecting. I'm still working on this. Maybe I'll get back into it and buy more. Right now I'm being a little bit frugal with my spending, so I haven't been buying anything. But, you know, things go in stages. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. We've got here, what is he? Yeah, Damn. I'm about to say Damn something, but it's Damn the Torpedoes. No, you wouldn't want to know what I was about to say. So, yeah, really great album there. Let's see, we've got Heart Promises here. And gosh, I thought this one had a J card, but it doesn't. Anyway, no big deal. Heart Promises there. Really great album again. And then we've got one of my very favorite Tom Petty albums, and most people would agree with me. If not his best, one of his very best, Full Moon Fever. And very, very happy. And I bought these long before he passed away, so imagine they've gone up in value since then. Don't know what else is out there for Tom Petty. Believe it or not, you know, when they do artists like this in Mobile Fidelity, they don't do their entire catalog. It's quite random. Like this next artist, I've got 3 of their albums, and I think that's the only 3 that you can buy, if I'm not mistaken. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know of any others. We've got U2. I've got the Joshua Tree, which is great. No J card, but still wonderful to have. We've got the Unforgettable Fire with a J card, which is even better. Well, you can see there's just something. I mean, I guess maybe because it makes it look sealed. I don't know, but I'm just so tickled when I can get him with the J card. And then we've got War. So, to my knowledge, it's the only 3 albums that they did. So I don't know why they didn't do October or Boy or any of their other albums for that matter. Even in the new variety with the mini LP sleeves, maybe they will at some point. But those are the 3 U2 albums. And then I've got 3 Pink Floyd albums, which I wish I had more. I wish I had The Wall, which is a double with a box. And I don't know what else is out there. There's probably others, but I can show you what I do have. I've got Dark Side of the Moon, which is, you know, who wouldn't want an absolutely perfect copy of Dark Side of the Moon, right? And we've got, sorry, someone just messaged me and it threw me off. Adam Hart Mother, iconic album cover, which is terrific. And unfortunately, none of my, just looking at these, none of my Pink Floyds have the J card, but that's okay. I've got Metal, which is maybe my personal favorite Pink Floyd album. I love it. I just love Metal. So, oh, hope that didn't have a price. No, it didn't. It just said used. So as you can see, I'm being upfront with you. I buy every single one of these used. I've never bought one new, except for one. I'm going to save to the end, and I've kept it sealed until now. I guess I will open it. And why not? You know, you only live once. Okay, these are artists I have 2 of. Now, again, if they have more, I'd love to collect more. If they don't, for some reason, this is all they've done. I always have trouble pronouncing this album. Trafalgar? It's so iconic in England. I think it's a river, or it's a famous battle with ships. I'm not sure, but it's the Bee Gees. And it's a terrific album. I just love this album. This has that song that, well, it has a lot of good songs, but how can you mend a broken heart? And who doesn't love that song? So there's a track listing on that. Sorry, my words are just not coming out great today. And there's the title, since I can't pronounce it, Trafalgar, forget me, I'm hopeless. And this one is not technically a Bee Gees album, but, you know, it's famous for the Bee Gees songs and that Saturday Night Fever. Not saying there wasn't other hits on here. Yvonne Elliman had a big hit with If I Can't Have You. You know, who else? That More Than a Woman was a big song by Tavares. You know, this album had so many hits. Casey and the Sunshine Band, Boogie Shoes, you know, and as I said, the Yvonne Elliman song. So, great album. Just, you know, one of the greatest soundtracks of all time. So that's it on Bee Gees. I've got 2 from Don Henley of the Eagles, The End of Innocence. I think this is his best album for sure. I love it. And Building the Perfect Beast. Those are the 2 Don Henleys I have. I don't think there's more, but I'm not sure. Boys of Summer is on that. Sunset Grill. Oh, what a song that is. Just love that song. Now this is an artist I wish that they would do more of. The next couple artists I wish they would do more of for sure. Which they do all their early albums. And that is R.E.M. This is Murmur. Just one hell of an album. There isn't a bad song on here. So good. And we've got Reckoning. That's so good too. Now again, if they had more of their early stuff, I'd share it. Now this one might be one of my weaker ones. As you can see, it has a little bit of writing on that. But you know, beggars can't be choosers on this stuff. I mean, the CD's in really good shape. Plays perfectly. It's in nice condition. Someone wrote their name on it. God knows why someone would do that. But I just, you know, it was probably like 20 bucks or something when I found it. And was like, I'm taking it because it might be the only chance I get. And we've got XTC. Now this is a band that I've just fallen in love with recently. And I mean, a couple of their albums are kind of must-haves for anybody's collection, including Skylarking. You know, most people know them for this record. But I'm finding now the last year or so that a lot of their albums are fantastic. And I'm so glad I have this on this special gold-plated 24-karat gold CD master from Mobile Fidelity Sound Lab, and I also have Oranges and Lemons, which is another mighty fine album. And I didn't really even appreciate how great these are until I recently started getting into their catalog much more, and I thank my friend Russ Goodall for that, because he's a pretty big fan of XTC, and he had been talking about them a lot. I'm like, hey, I've got some XTC, and I just never really paid much of attention. And, you know, it is really pretty special, so fantastic stuff. We got 2 from Joe Jackson, Willpower, which is a very jazzy type album. I really like it, though. Fantastic. I wish they would do the album that he put out. I forget the name of it. It's a very jazzy album as well. The album after this is Night and Day, was Steppin' Out, his biggest album by far. But he did an album with Breaking Us in Two, and Can't Get What You Want Until What You Want. That album. I can't think of the title at the minute. But it's fantastic. And, you know, I'm so glad to have the two I have. And I don't know what else is out there for Joe Jackson. Steely Dan. Now, this is an artist they probably have more of, but I only have the two. I have Gaucho, which a lot of people claim is their best album. I don't, but, you know, I mean, it's right up there. It's fantastic, but this is my personal favorite. Asia is their best album to me. I just love this album from start to finish. I can play it anytime, anywhere, and I just simply love it. And believe it or not, this is so not like me, but I like this band. They're fun. And particularly in the 80s, I kind of dismissed them as hair band, hair metal. But they're much better than that. And unfortunately, they got thrown in that hair metal stuff. But I really like them. So we've got Hysteria from Def Leppard. So we have that. And then we've got, obviously, Pyromania, which really put them on the map. They had 3 or 4 albums prior to this, I think, that I don't know much about. But those 2 albums are so iconic. I just love them. And it's, believe it or not, the only version of those albums I have. I don't have the records, don't have cassettes, nothing. So pretty neat. I've already shown you. Now these are just ones I have singles of. I don't have any more than one, but I'd sure love more. I've shown you the Velvet Underground. We've got Tales of Mystery and Imagination from the Alan Parsons Project. Would love to have more. Mobile Fidelity Sound Lab CDs from Alan Parsons Project. I have a couple of LPs, but I don't have any CDs. This one was a bit funny. I got this because it was cheap. And believe it or not, it has the J card. This is the Benedictine Monks of San Domingo. But believe it or not, I do enjoy listening to this. This is relaxing, and it's nice. So can't say I put it on all the time, but you know, I quite like it. What an odd choice for them to do. The Jam is another band I've really liked. This is kind of a weird double album here. You got sound effects and all mod cons, all thrown onto one album because their albums were quite short. So they did a double. So you got all mod cons and sound effects all in one. And I believe it's the only one from the Jam. We've got the Police. There's a couple more from the Police I'd love to have, but I've got Synchronicity, one of the greatest albums ever. Everyone knows this album. Everyone knows how good it is. And then we've got, this is one I gotta tell you, I've never even listened to, but I have a feeling if I do, when I do, maybe I'll leave it out and play it tonight. It deserves it. Jean-Michel Girard, Oxygen. I probably butchered the name, so forgive me. I know nothing about them. Some of these one-offs, like this one, I bought them because they were inexpensive, and I thought, why not try them, add to my collection. If anybody can tell me about this record, I'm going to play it, but maybe tonight. But I have a feeling it's maybe a little bit more of that new age, spacey kind of stuff. Okay, this is, I'd love to have more, and I do have a lot more in the J card variety, but I only have one in the old 90s jewel case, and that's Abraxas from Santana. Fantastic record. This was my first exposure to Santana, believe it or not, and now I've got a very nice vinyl collection. I'll have to do a collections video on Santana at some point and show you what I've picked up since then, and it's only been 3 or 4 years. I've got Mr. Fantasy from Traffic, a very iconic album from, I think, the very early 70s. Well, it doesn't say, but something tells me it's early 70s. I believe it is. Steve Winwood. So good. There's an artist I'd love to get a few more of. I wouldn't say all of them, but some of his better albums, like Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, would be nice. But I have Madman Across the Water, which is maybe my second favorite Elton John album of all time. Not a fan of his 80s stuff too much, and I'm definitely not a fan of anything he's doing now. But I sure like his old stuff. Robert Cray, Strong Persuader, just such a good blues album, really. He just rocks on that guitar. Really like this album. And it's an artist I didn't keep up with very well, and unfortunately, like many, this is probably the only album people know from him, but it's so good. Forgive me, this is going to be a long video, but you can fast forward things. Blood, Sweat, and Tears. Another band I don't know a lot about, but I sure like this album. This has got a lot of good hits on it. well, God Bless the Child, Spinning Wheel. I mean, who doesn't like that song, right? You've Made Me So Very, Very Happy. I mean, it's just a fantastic album, but I just don't know too much about Blood, Sweat, and Tears. This is an album I like, and I'm not a huge fan of them, but I really like this, and it's very cheesy. Again, kind of that hair rock from the 80s. Heart, they're self-titled. This was a big album, big comeback for them. This has got What About Love, Never, These Dreams, Nobody's Home. This was chock full of hits, and this was an amazing comeback for Heart. Just about when you think they're done, they kind of reinvent themselves, and I like it. John Mellencamp, Scarecrow, which is probably one of his best albums as well. I'd like to have and I'd love to have some of his others. I'm really bad with titles tonight. I don't know what my deal is, but anyway, nice copy with the J card on that. This one was interesting, and I got to believe it was very cheap. I don't even remember buying it. I don't know if it was online. I don't think so. I think it was in a shop. This is a tribute to Cole Porter. I mean, it's just got a lot of artists on here. If I could, U2's on here, Katie Lang, Thompson Twins, Erasure, Lisa Sansfield, Jody Watley, Debbie Harry, and Iggy Pop. You know, so it's all Cole Porter songs, which I happen to love Cole Porter. You know, believe it or not, he's written some of the best classic songs of all times, and he's just one in a million. And we've got one album from the great Robbie Robertson. Did I say that wrong the first time? And I love this album. I think this was produced by, I wish I should open these, but something tells me this was produced by Brian Eno. It may have been. Don't kill me if I'm wrong on that, but this is a really special album. And obviously, you know, from the band and all those great albums, you know, this was a kind of came out around the same time as Peter Gabriel's So, and this is just great. If you haven't heard this album, do yourself a favor and go get it. Robbie Robertson, just self-titled, and Fallen Angel and Broken Arrow. I mean, Rod Stewart covered that song. Listen to this version. It's so much better. I mean, not saying the Rod Stewart version is bad, but this one blows it away, trust me. One of my favorite artists, Stevie Wonder with Inner Visions. Love to have songs in the key of life. I have that on Blu-ray audio. But again, to me, these gold CDs are special. I just love them. So Inner Visions. This was one of my very favorite albums ever, too. The great Roy Orbison and Mystery Girl. What a loss. What a great man he was. What a great album produced by Jeff Lynne of ELO. I just love it. So, again, so many good songs on there. He really rose to fame for a second or third time in his life when he worked with the Traveling Wilburys, and that album came out, and I was like, where'd this guy come from? You know, because I was just a kid when that album came out. And then you find out he had a whole career in the 50s and 60s. Like, really? You know, because he still looked young. He still looked hip and modern. And then this is the one I told you in the beginning. This was a part of their very short-lived Discovery series. And I don't know what else is out there. It's not a gold CD. This is silver-plated instead of gold. And it is an original master recording, and it has been subsequently re-released on vinyl in a little box set. But this is Ryan Adams' Heartbreaker. And believe it or not, this is very difficult to find. I'm such a fan of this album, maybe one of the greatest albums of all time, certainly one of his best. And I just felt like I had to have it. And this was an eBay auction, and I ended up winning it, and I think I paid about $67 for it. And again, you might think, well, you're crazy, but that's why I have a few of these. I don't have a lot of these. Over 4 or 5 years of collecting, you're seeing about 40 items here, because they are expensive and they're all long out of print. But when I find them and I can win an auction, or I find them in a half-price books or in a used CD store, lucky, you know, someone doesn't know what they are, I'll get them, but it's a rare thing. And then last but not least, I've had this for, well, this is the last one I purchased. This was got to be at least a year and a half ago. And I've never opened it because I have the Mobile Fidelity album. And part of me is saying, oh, I think I'm going to go back and not do that. I'm not going to open it. But, you know, like I said, you only live once. And as you can see from the sticker, it's been sealed since 1994. This is Neil Diamond, Hot August Night. And I love this record. I love Neil Diamond, particularly the early Neil Diamond. And he doesn't get nearly enough credit. People think of him as a cheesy, schmaltzy, kind of 80s, easy listening kind of guy. But believe me, back in the day, he could keep up with anybody. And this guy could rock in concert. And I love it. I absolutely loved it. I mean, he worked up a sweat. I mean, the guy is intense. And as you can see from the sticker, if you can read it, it was $50, $49.99, and the date on it is from October 1994. And that's why I'm kind of hesitant to open it. I promised you I would, but I'm not going to do it. I just can't do it. There's no need for me to do it right now. I'm going to keep it sealed, guys. I'm sorry. I've got the LP that's in great condition. I play that once in a while. I'd like to keep this sealed. If nothing else, it's got the original sticker. But as you can see, even in 94, could you imagine paying $50 for a CD in 1994? That's a lot of money. So when you hear these go for 60, 70, upwards of $100, and in some cases much more, if you find them mint and sealed like this, this probably, I could sell it right now for $200 easy. So as you can see, I'm a little hesitant to open it. Anyway, I really do hope that you enjoyed looking at these with me. I enjoy having them. I feel very, very blessed and lucky to have them as part of my music collection. What you see behind me here is all of my mini LP newer versions, and some of them are super audio CDs and some of them are not. Some of them are those hybrid varieties. We'll go over that in a separate video, part 2, somewhere down the road. No rush. But I just wanted to get this out there and show you my kind of classics, if you will. Start off my Mobile Fidelity CD collection with you, because these sit behind me every single video. And I've had comments like, what is that stuff behind you? Well, you saw a couple of them now. Up on the first row, there's Japanese mini LP sleeves. We've got the J-Card mini LP Mobile Fidelity Sound Lab. Over here we've got more Japanese LPs or CDs, and we've got Blu-ray audio and DVD audio on that third and final one, and then box sets below that. So if anybody was wondering what is sitting behind me all the time. Anyway, a very long video. Sorry, I did not plan on that, but hopefully you fast forwarded through some bits you didn't like and enjoyed it. So until next time, take care of yourselves. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you to all my new subscribers. There's been a lot of you lately, and I really can't say thanks enough for taking the time to hit the subscribe button, and it kind of validates what I'm doing and tells me you like this channel, and I hope that I can continue to keep videos out there that you're enjoying. So until then, take care of yourselves, and bye for now.
I've always wanted a superstar to cherish as my own, but so high in the sky, I'd never dare